Can we, normally we don't really do this anymore on the newer episodes, but it's the first new episode of the season, so f*** it. Can we talk about this? God, that feels good to say. There's a lot of things that go into choosing your champion in Champ Select. If you're empathetic, you're someone who looks at your team's composition to make sure that you have enough hard CC, magic damage, and pretty ladies. If you're confident, you're somebody who has a main or three that you're comfortable in choosing in every single matchup. And you strongly believe that you can make your champion work no matter the team composition, or you will die trying. About 10 times. But somewhere on this accursed realm that we call our own lies a very special kind of player. A player that doesn't really care about the fate of their team, rather the fate of themselves. A player with so much faith in their abilities that they will show up to the 100-meter dash in cement shoes.
I'm only at 10% speed right now.
Now, I'm all for being cocky. Hell, I mained Nasus in the Gore Drinker meta, which was a pretty rough time. Rough, cause duh. But no matter how many times I've played AP Rengar, managed to build full tank on Shaco, or even just locking in Duskblade Yorick for the umpteenth time, I can clearly say that I'm a little crazy. But not crazy enough to main Kayle. Locking in Kayle is the equivalent of showing up to a basketball game, high-fiving every single person on your team, telling everyone how amazing you are at basketball, and then ripping both of your ankles clean off. In Champ Select, seeing a Kayle kinda translates to, hey guys, please play around me. It's gonna be a 4v5 for the majority of the game, and I might lose lane insanely hard to the enemy top laner. Please do not go for dragons, as I will not be able to assist, and jungler, please come top and gank for me with no promise of the ganks being successful, because I have the same amount of CC as a caster minion. And if you guys haven't disconnected and somehow kept this 4v5 alive for as long as I need, then I shall come into battle and do as much damage as a normal ADC late game, because I am the hero of this story and you are all side characters. Thank you for understanding. Kayle is a ticking time bomb, because if she can manage to get to her strongest stages in the game, she will become an absolute monster that is strong enough to create a real problem for anyone dumb enough to be sacrilegious. However, if Act 1 of Arcane has taught us anything, it would be that explosions are rated E for everyone. And if you're someone already in the comment section about a comment how I spoiled something, relax. I left it vague on purpose. So please, just make like Milo and pipe down. That one still hurts. The biggest problem with Kayle is that unlike 99% of the champions in the game, Kayle's entire power spike is locked behind EXP, the one resource that you can't expedite in League of Legends. Meaning, in order for her to even get useful, she has to spend the majority of her time in the side lanes, funneling as much gold off the jungler as she can to hopefully be a champion by the end of the game. I'll explain. Kayle's passive is Divine Ascent. Kayle ascends 4 separate times upon spending a skill point at levels 1, 6, 11, and 16. At level 1, Kayle's basic attacks grant her attack speed for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Which sounds strong at level 1, until you realize that until she's level 6, she's a squishy melee champion with no CC or escape in the most oppressive run-it-downingest lane. I made that word up right now, and I think it's a pretty good word. Thankfully though, at level 6, Kayle becomes a ranged champion, which completely changes her playstyle and allows for her to farm without having to tell her family that she's gonna be late for dinner because she fucking died. Again. At level 11, Kayle actually starts to deal decent damage. When she's fully exalted, her autos blast an AoE magic damage dealing wave that has hybrid scaling. Don't see a lot of that anymore. And finally, at level 16, Kayle becomes permanently exalted and also gets 100 bonus range on her auto attacks. If you manage to hit level 16, you're going to experience what can only be described as playing Grand Theft Auto with cheat codes on. Is your health low? Don't worry, she heals. Are they a tank? Not to her they aren't, she shreds them. Are you getting chased? Don't worry, you're faster. And are they crazy enough to fight you? Well, tell them to go get a psychological evaluation in hell. And I know what you're thinking. But Scooch, if what you're saying is true, then I'm going to boot up my Macintosh iMac G3, launch me a game of League of Legends solo queue, and play Kayle right now. Which, honestly, is not a bad idea. But be careful, because you're not going to get the right to hit level 16 in a lot of your solo queue games. And in the games that you do manage to hit level 16, you should be using your second monitor to donate to your teammates' medical bills who quite literally broke their backs carrying you in a 4v5. However, I genuinely think that the current meta has pretty long games. Slower playstyles are being rewarded, and objective bounties and unleashed teleport is really slowing games down. I mean, seriously, this is the best meta that Kayle has had since she looked like this. Goddamn Sega Saturn graphics. Kayle's kit is, drumroll please. Okay, it seems like Riot kind of had the idea of what character they wanted to make, but then all of her moves feel so disjointed. Like a group project where everyone has to do their own part, and you can really tell which kids tried while the other kids were like, Kayle's an angel, right? Angels, they help people. Let's give her a heal. Yeah, but that doesn't really work. We're making a hyper carry. Oh, my date's outside, actually. I gotta go. You guys make sure to write my name on the top of the paper. I'll see you guys around. Kayle's Q is a skill shot in a target direction that fires after a 0.25 second delay. This ability has hybrid scaling and deals magic damage while slowing enemies for 2 seconds. It also reduces armor and magic resist by 15% for 4 seconds, which actually helps her a lot in the later stages of the game due to her hybrid damage. But though this ability actually gets pretty good late game, it deals practically 0 damage at level 1, coming in at a whopping 60 damage. I would have to get this tested in a lab, but honestly, I think my sneezes do more damage than that. 60 is almost the same as the percentage of the people watching this video that aren't subscribed. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll really help us out. On top of that, we're releasing videos near daily these days, so please ring the bell so that you don't miss a banger like this one. Let's keep going. At this point, we've already established Kayle as a hyper carry, a high DPS that benefits from the most important stat in the game: damage. So what did they grant her for her W? Maybe a dash that lets her stay in fights and have a positional advantage. Maybe another AoE burst skill to help her survive her atrocious laning phase. Hell, maybe it's even a shield that lets her stay in the mix for a little bit longer. Oh boy, Jimmy, I just can't wait to see what they made her W. Now go ahead and remove that curtain and let's check it out. Oh, a heal that speeds up 2 people on a hyper carry. Why? That would be like giving Sona a baseball bat. What the hell is she supposed to do with this? When Kayle uses this heal on herself, it speeds up the nearest ally as well. And since this is the 3rd ability you max, that means that until level 14, this ability is healing for a shocking 60 health plus 30% of your AP. That's about 1 auto attack from any champion and some change. So now, let's get into the ability that actually matters. Kayle's E is single-handedly the most important ability in her kit. It is in fact so important that normally when I talk about an important skill, I call it the bread and butter. But Kayle's E is the whole goddamn buffet. Before level 6, Kayle's E makes her next auto attack have range. It is also an insanely powerful execute at later stages of the game, and applies on-hit effects while being AoE at level 11. In lane, this ability helps her actually farm up without putting herself in a lot of danger. In trades, this allows her to proc her PTA a lot faster since it's an auto attack reset, making it easy to deal bonus damage. And in full-fledged wars, this ability puts the KS in Kayles. For an ability that's so simple, I can't stress how good this ability feels. It also has hybrid scaling, because why wouldn't it? Hell, it... Okay. My bad. Heaven, this ability is almost good enough to make up for her other two abilities. Almost. Now, Kayle's ultimate is a very, very big point of contention for me. Let me explain. Kayle chooses to target an ally or herself and makes them invulnerable for 2 to 3 seconds depending on rank. After her 1.5 second cast animation, swords rain down around her target, dealing a pretty hefty amount of magic damage. And also, this ability has hybrid scaling because... Now let me explain my problem with this ultimate. Kayle will always use this ability to save herself, if not another very high priority target. And though these numbers are pretty big and admittingly a pretty fat chunk of damage, chances are if Kayle is saving herself or a high priority target, they are trying to haul it out of there more fast than Ramadan. The reason why this is a problem is because sticking around to deal damage will almost guarantee you a hot plate of CC waiting for you the second the angelic blessing subsides. In short, the swords may hurt, but chances are if you're still around with them, you'll hurt just as bad. I mean, sure, you can use your ultimate on a tank's engaged just to deal more damage, but now you're a Kayle with no survivability surrounded by a bloodthirsty pack of sinners that probably has enough knockups to send your ass back to heaven. But here is the main qualm that I have. If Kayle is a DPS champion, whose DPS is entirely attached to how much she can auto-attack, then why did they make her ultimate move disable her ability to auto-attack? Now, honestly, there's a lot of ways to dissect this. But Scooch, she'd be overpowered if she can auto-attack during her ult. Scooch, they compensated by literally making it rain swords. But Scooch, Kayle was really strong before the reworks. Isn't that enough for you? Can't you just remember her fondly and move on? And though a lot of these are valid questions and concerns, let me explain my issue as eloquently as I possibly can. It feels like a complete pile of dog shit. There is nothing worse than being in a fantastic position in the middle of a fight, only to have to ult somebody out of the goodness of your own heart, and then realizing you basically crippled yourself for the next 1.5 seconds. It also makes absolutely no sense for the playstyle of this character, because again, she's supposed to be a hyper carry, but her W and her R are almost better for the support role, which is why she is the only character in all of League of Legends to be classified as a fighter support. These two classes don't go hand in hand. Let me show you. Oh, hey dude, how's it going? I just wanted to tell you that I read your poetry, and it's actually amazing. I know it's easy to dissuade yourself when you do art, but honestly, I think you have a big future in it, and you just keep trying your best. Now, I feel like I should clarify something because I don't want my words misconstrued. Kayle is not weak at all. In fact, in a lot of cases, with the right pacing and macro, Kayle can become a massive problem for anyone in any elo, especially with the current meta favoring her more than ever. But by design, Kayle is one of the most flawed champions in the entire game. She is practically useless until level 6, which will cause your jungler to lose topside in early stages of the game. She encourages a playstyle where she has to spend more time apart from her team instead of helping them teamfight and get objectives, creating a unique 4v5 dynamic until she can hit the strongest point in the game. Besides her E, nearly all of her abilities don't feel good to use. Her Q is slow and clunky, her W costs 110 mana at max rank, and since she builds little to no mana regen, that adds up very fast. And her ultimate removes her biggest and only set of damage for 1.5 seconds for a burst that in most cases isn't guaranteed. I don't think that Kayle is a useless champion. She just happens to be designed in a way that nobody wants to play with her or against her. If you're against Kayle's team, you have to hope to God that your jungler is smart enough to abuse topside and get a lead before she takes off. And this is such a toxic dynamic because it basically guarantees that no matter what, 4 people are unhappy in a Kayle game. And a majority of the time, that includes Kayle as well. Kayle is a clunky mass of randomly generated abilities that has limitless potential as long as you are willing to hurt yourself and your team in the process. League of Legends doesn't allow you to attack your teammates, but locking in Kayle is about as close to friendly fire as you can get. This problem is doubly so when you realize that people in solo queue, more often than not, lack faith in each other. Out of the 7 total solo queue Kayle games that I've played so far, 2 of my 3 losses came from rage quitters who left the game or FF'd because they didn't believe in my late game. And in the games that we did win, my jungler basically had to 2v1 and carry the entire world on his shoulders until I became an actual champion. However, I promise you that there is no feeling better on this entire green earth than hitting level 16 as Kayle and being able to bully everyone that has been bullying you for the last 20 minutes. It is just so magnifique. In short, when playing Kayle, always remember that... What? They FF'd? I can't even get to the best part. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Can We Talk About This? If there's something else you want to talk about, leave it in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get to it. Guys, you have no idea how good it feels to be back. I love this show. I'm excited to be doing it again. Andrew, I love you. I know it's taken me forever to send you a script, but we finally got around to it, and that's a good thing. I'll see you guys next week, or maybe in like 9 days if I'm being realistic, for an episode that's not about League of Legends. So I'll see you then. Mwah. Adios, bye-bye, later. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, or else termites will eat the skin off of your feet.